So in today's video, we're going to talk about some of the common objections that we get when people are considering relocating to Florida. Now, relocating to Florida is one of our specialties. We've helped many families throughout the country with this relocation process, understanding their needs, understanding what they're looking for, and making sure that we match them with the perfect home and location.
In this video, we're going to be discussing 10 objections or concerns that can influence buyer decisions in moving to Tampa, Florida.
By the way, if you enjoy the information that you're watching in this video, we are licensed real estate agents and we're here to help you. Relocations is our specialty. It's what we do not just at the corporate level, but at the personal level as well.
Okay, Hector, so what would you say is a concern that can influence buyer decision?
The very first thing is hurricane risk. So throughout the country, there are many different risks that are involved. Some places have earthquakes, some places have tornadoes. We happen to live in a state that is prone to hurricanes because we have warm waters in the bay. Ironically enough, the West Coast was just hit with a hurricane in California, so it can happen anywhere, including all up the East Coast, whether it's the Carolinas, all the way up into New York and Massachusetts. Hurricanes can occur anywhere, but Florida is known for hurricanes. Now, when we consider the Tampa Bay area in general, so I've lived here for over 40 years, and we've been fortunate enough to never have a direct hit when it comes to hurricanes. So although there is that fear, there's a fear anywhere that you live, you have to take that into consideration.
So I know another concern coming into Tampa, Florida, or moving into Tampa, Florida, is the insurance cost. What do you think about that?
So insurance is expensive in Florida. In fact, in 2022, we had 160,000 canceled policies because insurance companies left the state. Now, there are some reasons for roofing companies going to homeowners and filing claims on hail damage, and these were really, really expensive roof quotes. So that was one of the primary things. Now, we are cracking down on that aspect of it, but then we also have the concern about hurricanes. So last year, Ian hit the South Florida in the Fort Myers area, and it did cause catastrophic damage. Now, in situations like that, insurances do sustain some big hits, but there's always emergency relief funds that also help with the rebuilding of the infrastructure and properties for some of those areas, especially for those who do not have insurance.
That's really fantastic insight. So when it comes to property taxes, what would you say are some concerns that people might have?
So property taxes in Florida are generally still lower than other parts of the country. I hear about people moving from the East Coast, whether it's New York, New Jersey, and those property taxes appear to be much higher than ours. Now, the other big advantage about Florida is we do not have a state tax. So those states also have a state tax, so you're paying an additional, let's say it's 10% or whatnot, where we do not have that type of taxation. So it's one of the primary reasons why retiring in Florida is so appealing.
I know another thing that might be a concern for people would be the maintenance and the upkeep on their home.
Yeah, that is actually a big one. Unfortunately, in Florida, it is called the Sunshine State for a reason, and we get a lot of sunshine. So your house does have to be repainted every 6 to 8 years, generally speaking. So although you get a lot of sun, lots of opportunities to do things outdoors, it does take a toll on your home, so just remember that. Now, the cost to repaint an exterior home may be $3,000 to $5,000 depending on the size. Could be a little bit more. So it is something to budget for, but it's not that big of an expense.
Awesome. I know another valid concern that people might have is the potential of living in a flood zone here in Tampa.
Yep, so there are flood zones, and flood zones can be located throughout, particularly on the west coast of the Tampa Bay area along the Gulf, Clearwater, St Petersburg, the beaches. Those are areas of high wind potential and flooding, but at the end of the day, it does not happen every year. It can occur sometimes, and sometimes if someone has a flood insurance policy in place, we can transfer that flood policy to the new buyer, saving them potentially thousands of dollars. So in a recent example, we had someone transfer a policy that was $800 for the year, and they have a waterfront property. That was a big win for that particular buyer.
That is amazing. I know something that I have an objection to is the HOA regulations down here in Tampa.
Yeah, so HOAs are real. So we have a lot of planned unit developments or planned communities. And those communities will have very specific rules and regulations. Typically, they don't want commercial vehicles parked in the front, or your grass overgrown, or your fence that's falling down. But when you really put that into perspective, what that helps to do is preserve property values. So it really does help. Now, we do have options where you can have a non-HOA property where you may own a half acre, an acre of land. It's just not going to be in one of those communities that have community amenities like pools, tennis courts, basketball courts, and whatever the case may be. So again, pros and cons. We have things for different strokes for different folks. So it just depends on what you're into, but it does help preserve property values.
Absolutely, yes. There is pros and cons to HOA. I know a recent concern that we've had with the growth of Tampa is traffic congestion.
Yeah, there's a lot of construction going on both on the housing and roads. So what we try to do when we help someone relocate is pair them with a property that's within the location that they're working. This is going to make that commute a lot faster and a lot more efficient so that you're spending less time traveling, but traffic is certainly a concern.
When it comes to economic stability, with the growth of Tampa, would you say that's a valid concern?
So I would say overall we've stood a lot stronger than other parts of the country. So earlier this year and last year, when other parts of the country were really dropping in property desirability or values, Tampa actually held strong, and we've remained very resilient. Most of the time we have people incoming, which actually adds to the economic stability because we have more money pumped into our system, creating stronger schools, better education, and overall growth.
Awesome, and I know with that growth, there's some concerns about the job market. What would you say about that?
Well, the good thing about the job market is because everyone is seeing Tampa grow, you've got companies like Amazon now building multiple facilities throughout. This is creating a lot of job opportunities, especially if you're in the tech field or IT. There's so much to do, even down to drivers. The opportunities are there, and I would say that they're pretty abundant.
And I know a concern that parents might have would be the education quality.
So contrary to popular belief, Florida currently ranks 14th in overall states. I think some of the states in the Northeast rank a little bit higher, but we do rank 14th throughout all 50 states, so that would put us pretty high as far as ratings are concerned in education K through 12. Now, when it comes to higher education, believe it or not, Florida ranks number 1. We've got schools like the University of Tampa, USF, FIU, University of Central Florida, University of Miami. So we have some of the top colleges. Florida State Seminoles, Florida Gators, top doctors go to University of Florida, lawyers. So these are some of the top schools in the country, and everyone comes here because, again, we have no state income tax. And most of the time when these students come here to learn from other states, they end up staying here and becoming productive members of society.
If you found any of this information valuable, please feel free to reach out to us in one of the links below so we can create a partnership and start working today.
And don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching Yellow Chair Chat.